There is a specific type of person on the internet. They post their morning routine at 5 a.m. They're sipping black coffee. Book on the desk. Subtle flex of the apartment in the background. Caption says something like, locked in. And if you look closely enough, if you actually pay attention, you start to realize this person may not actually be locked in, and they're just larping.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
For anyone who doesn't know the slang, larping, in this context means pretending to be something you're not in real life. Playing a character, living a role that isn't actually yours. It's not cosplay or acting, just lying, but making it aesthetic, for profit. It's the guy who takes a photo next to a Lamborghini at a dealership and posts it like it's his. It's the person who talks endlessly about their entrepreneurial journey, and the business is a Canva template store with 4 sales. It's the fitness influencer whose entire personality is discipline and 4 a.m. alarms, but in real life, they're just a normal person who goes to the gym 3 times a week. Which, fine, 3 times a week is great. Just say that. Why are we performing? In the great social media epoch, I believe that there are different categories of LARPers. Type 1, the wealth LARPer. This is the classic. Renting a Ferrari for a weekend and posting 17 videos of it, staying in a hotel lobby that has nice decor and framing the shot so that it looks like your apartment. And of course, at the end of it all, selling a course on how to make 10k a month using untold wealth secrets. Normal rich people don't say, I just got back from my Maldives trip, every sentence. The LARPer mentions a Maldives trip constantly, like bro we get it. Type 2, the lifestyle LARPer, possibly the most common one. This is a person whose online presence and real life are 2 completely different shows running simultaneously on different channels. Online, they'll have a clean desk, they'll be journaling every morning, they'll have intentional morning, a soft life, reading by the candlelight, living slowly. In reality, the desk has not been cleaned since February, the journal has 3 entries, and the candle is a Bath & Body Works one they got as a gift and lit once for the photo. It kind of reminds me of those my productive desk setup videos that people on the internet eat up. Yet so many great thinkers have setups that look like a bomb has dropped on them recently. Again, none of these things are bad. Messy desk, barely used journal, that's just being a person. The issue is the performance of a life you're not actually living, presented to other people as aspirational content. Type 3, the hardship LARPer.
I never growing up had anything designer. My mom wouldn't let me. I think I got my first pair of Louboutins when I graduated high school. It makes me emotional actually.
This one is wild. This is a person who exaggerates struggle for credibility. Everything they've achieved was against impossible odds. Every project they worked on was the hardest thing anyone has ever done. They didn't just start a small business, they clawed their way up from nothing while the world tried to stop them. And they're still standing. They're just getting started. Bro, you started an Etsy shop. I'm rooting for you genuinely, but let's not write it like a war memoir. Okay, here's where I'll be slightly less mean about it. People LARP because there is a gap between who they are and who they want to be. And rather than sitting with that gap, they just skip to the end and perform the result, which is a very human thing to do. Uncomfortable, but human. There's actually a psychological concept. I'm going to mention it carefully because I don't want to laugh as someone who understands psychology, where people perform an identity before they've actually built it. And sometimes the performance does eventually become real. Fake it till you make it, but like the clinical version. So some LARPers are genuinely just aspirational people with bad execution and too much access to a phone camera. The problem is when the performance replaces the work entirely. When you spend more energy maintaining the image of the person who has it together than actually getting it together. When the brand becomes the whole thing and there's nothing behind it. That's when LARPing stops being harmless and starts becoming a trap. You're stuck maintaining a character that was never real, for an audience that didn't ask for it, and you can't drop it because you've been doing it so long you don't actually know who you are without it. Which is genuinely sad, and I say that with no mockery. And to be fair, social media is basically a breeding ground for LARPing. Every platform incentivizes you to present the best, most curated, most impressive version of yourself. The algorithm rewards the aesthetic morning routine, not the honest, I woke up at 10:30 a.m. today and immediately checked my phone for 40 minutes. So in some ways, everyone online is LARPing to some degree. The question is just how far from reality you're willing to drift before it becomes a whole thing. There's a spectrum. On one end, putting your best foot forward, normal, fine, everyone does it. On the other end, constructing an entirely fictional persona and maintaining it across platforms for years, while your actual life has nothing to do with any of it. Most people are somewhere in the middle and at least aware of it. The dangerous ones are the people who have been doing it so long that they've lost the thread entirely. So next time you're scrolling and you see someone who seems a little too perfectly put together, a little too consistently winning, a little too profound in every caption, just ask yourself, is this a person or is this a character? Because the goal isn't to be brutally raw all the time, it's just to not lose track of the difference between the performance and the actual person underneath it. Because the actual person is almost always more interesting anyways.